Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the most anticipated episode that we've been waiting on to do for quite a while. Is the second episode to Monsters and Legends. I am your host, everything horror crew member Tristin Knott, and with me is the lovely
Tessa Baker
and Oogly Boogly himself,
Paul Dulski. Oogly Boogly. My new nickname. Nice.
Now, a little recap on what we talked about in our last episode. We talked about sea creatures. We talked about our favorite sea creatures, how Hollywood hasn't even touched these creatures, and we even talked about our favorite folklore. But, sea creatures, you can only do so much with. But they all have an origin, and their origin comes from the land. So that's what this episode's going to be about, is land monsters. I'm kind of excited about this. Are you guys?
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait to discuss some of these interesting cryptids or land monsters, however you want to call it.
Cryptid sounds cool.
Now, let's start with you, Paul. What is your favorite land creature that you picked?
Well, technically, the one Tessa picked is the one I really like. But so I was looking around because we all know the Yeti or Abominable Snowman, so we don't really need to throw that out into the world because I know, one thing we even talk about, too, is, have we seen enough of these creatures in films or whatever? And I think we can all agree that Bigfoot, the Yeti, Abominable Snowman has showed up more times than we can count, really, when it comes to movies. But anyway, so I found an interesting European cryptid, actually, and it's called the Phantom Kangaroo. And this is what I can find just a little bit about it, I guess, is that this Phantom Kangaroo is a strange, out-of-place, no, screwed it. It's pretty much just like an out-of-place, weird kangaroo that basically looks like a normal kangaroo, except for the fact that it's like a giant kangaroo or something like that. So it's very weird looking. And I guess the one of the interesting things though is some of the possibilities is that it could be kangaroos that escaped from a zoo. Apparently it could even be signs of some sort of rabies. But then again, we're talking about how people can sometimes see a 6-foot kangaroo. And yeah, kind of weird, but interesting at the same time.
Now, what made you choose?
What made me choose Phantom Kangaroo?
Yes.
First of all, I've never heard of such weird phantom type name for a kangaroo. The picture that I see provided here, it kind of looks normal. Could it be a cryptid one? I don't know for sure, but if it can go, 6 feet tall or whatever, let me see here. What else can I find here real quick? Apparently in 1958, a kangaroo was seen chasing dogs. Okay, here's an interesting one. In 1934, supposedly a giant kangaroo killed and ate police dogs in Hamburg, Tennessee. So there you go. There's a lot more sightings going on. The last known sighting I guess looks like it was 2013, where supposedly in Oklahoma, a kangaroo was reportedly recorded by hunters in a field. The video was published on the website, YouTube, and prompted speculation that the animal may be a pet kangaroo who went missing in the state just over a year earlier. But that's kind of weird, though, that this kangaroo would kill dogs and then eat them, though. So you don't really hear that every day, especially not for a kangaroo. And if we're going to talk movies, damn right I want to see this, like, kangaroo beating up humans in this case. I have a thing for when it comes to animals in movies, but, you know, a giant kangaroo going on a killing spree? Now that would be an interesting horror movie.
Now, Tessa, what do you have for creature?
Well, I was looking at while you guys were talking, a megaconda, aka a giant anaconda, which was first seen in 1948 by a group of native Brazilians, claimed to have captured a 131-foot-long snake deep in the Amazon rainforest. It's said to have been in excess of 33 to 34 feet. But the megaconda is in fact real. It's terrifyingly enormous snake of Matador or bull killer after it half swallowed a bull they claim to have found inside it. Oof.
Now, we've seen that a lot of times in anaconda movies.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, what made you choose this creature?
Because I like snakes.
Simple answer. I like it.
I like snakes, and I was just reading about it because I was just scrolling through all the lists and stuff, and there's like everything from there's like this thing called a skunk ape even. There's obviously the infamous Mothman. There's Owlman. There's a Wendigo. I was looking at Jersey Devil too.
Those are more flying.
But
cryptids.
The Jersey Devil is more of a flying cryptid.
Same
I
with
know.
Mothman.
Yeah, and Mothman. I know that, but I was just flipping through the cryptids in general.
Right.
That's why I didn't choose them, because they were flying ones. I was just listing off some of the cryptids I was looking at. Cause it's just don't me.
Jeez,
I'm gonna smack him, Tristin.
There we go.
I'm gonna smack him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might not hear me soon.
Anyways, I was also looking at the Wendigo too, but we've seen Wendigo in the movies as well. But Wendigos have always been kind of fascinating. But
yeah, Wendigo is my favorite creature.
Yeah, so you can touch on that.
If that's even what you picked.
Well, that is not what I actually picked. What I actually picked was Goatman.
Oh, that's cool.
You picked
the reason why I picked the Goatman
there you go.
is, I've always been fascinated with folklores and myths and legends that combine human with animal. I always thought it was fascinating because some of the stories they come up with and the legends are just out there and outrageous, and it's kind of hilarious. Like, Goatman has the most hilarious origin story I've ever heard in my life. And the Goatman the story originally came from Beltsville, Maryland. And supposedly he was a scientist. He was experimenting with goats, and the experiment backfired, and he became an axe-wielding, half-human, half-beast monster going around the back roads attacking cars. And there's multiple legends, but that one is my favorite because it just makes no sense. And we've you know, we just got what would you call it? A graphic novel or a comic book that we just got there, Paul.
Yeah, you're right.
So we just got a book that's Rise of the Goatman that just came out this year. And there's multiple medias. We have not seen it in movies at all that I could find. And mostly you can see them in comic books, like X-Files. You can find them in X-Files comic book entitled The Face of Extinction. And then you can also find it in Hellboy comic called Love is Scarier Than Death. And 2 years ago in 2017, Goatman appeared in its own video game called Do You Copy? And, those are the only medias that we have seen Goatman in. We haven't seen him in movies. We haven't seen him in anything.
I'm going to actually correct you there. Supposedly, there is a couple movies with Goatman. One is actually a 2017 movie called Goatman. And then there's another one that I just found called it's called The Legend of the Goatman.
All right, so I stand corrected.
A few filmed, but it doesn't look like there's a lot, though.
Well, I stand corrected. So there's 2 movies that are out, and there's a lot you could do with Goatman. There is, we get sick and tired of seeing regular ghost stories like Conjuring adaptations. We got other constant adaptations to series that are dying out quickly. Do something with this. That's all I can say. Because this will keep the audience wanting more.
And speaking of wanting more, that comic that you mentioned, The Rise of the Goatman, is by the UK publisher company called the Afterlight Comics. And the good news is, because it was originally supposed to be a standalone comic, people actually just wanted more. And so now, next year, in 2020, we're going to actually be getting a trilogy for this. And the second issue in the now trilogy is called Birth of the Goatman, coming from Afterlight Comics. So the story will continue.
And please do check this comic book out. It's amazing. It's great. It's definitely worth your time.
Yes. And for those that want to know more and check out the other stuff that Afterlight Comics has to offer, go to afterlightcomics.com.
Now, is there any other questions or statements you guys going to make before we go into our second part?
Well, the only thing I'll say is, even though I'm only seeing like 1 or 2, maybe 3 films that seem to have the Goatman in it, I mean, there could be more, but I'm not quite sure because I'm not really deeply looking into it at all. So I just wanted to kind of stand my ground and say, like, look, I'm not trying to say there's only 2 or 3 films. There could be more. It's just that, I did a quick search and that's what I found. Otherwise, yes, I would like to see Goatman more because, we don't really, I don't know really any other way to say it is, except for we haven't really heard much about the Goatman, but then again, people who encounter this Goatman usually don't live to tell that they survived a Goatman encounter. Do they, Tristin?
They do not.
Yeah, so how How somebody was able to escape a Goatman, I don't know. Unless people got lucky, I don't know.
Well, that's the same thing that goes for you, Paul, with the Phantom Kangaroo. How are they supposed to escape from that, too? There is no way you can escape from that. Like, if a giant kangaroo is hopping at me, I'm just going to take it. I'm not going to try to run.
That kangaroo will go all kung fu fighting, too, man.
And that's the same thing that goes for, Tessa's anacondas. Like, if I saw a giant anaconda running at me, I'm just going to be eaten. I'm not going to even run.
How does an anaconda run? You mean slither at you? Or, like, whatever that word is?
Like speed slither or something.
Yeah, I didn't know anaconda could run.
I didn't realize.
I'm in the heat of the moment.
Oh, okay.
Heat of the moment. See what you did there?
No, here we go. Copyright on the episode because of Tessa singing.
Whoops. Anyways.
Now, Tessa, do you have anything to...
Yeah, do you have anything to add about the Goatman, the Phantom Kangaroo, or the Anaconda?
Nope.
So you wouldn't want to see any of those in any type of format at all, or anything?
What do you mean, like any type of format? Like we've seen like Anaconda in movies and stuff like that, but you mean like in person? Would I want to see something like that?
Sure, or comics, or...
Well, that would be kind of cool to see it in like comic form or graphic novel form. That'd be interesting. Like,
because I'm assuming we've seen too many snake movies anyway, right?
Yeah, but I was just going off of that because of my original idea. I didn't end up using.
I know, so I gotta take that back to what I was saying. So I could have used it, even though I didn't know. But anyway, that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, people might know it. I mean, there's definitely enough movies of it, but the original idea we had, technically it was Tessa's idea. I didn't know about it, but because I was already thinking about it. And then, anyway, that's how great our brains work. And then we both decided we'll just do the werewolf, or what people know as the Dogman. And then here we are doing the episode, and none of us did it. And I had the tab open, too. So, good job, everybody. Anyway, so what about Goatman, babe?
Haven't we seen, like, is it Afterlight?
Yep, we were just talking about the comic.
Yep. Afterlight was doing comics on that, and that looks actually really interesting. And I'd actually like to read that. I don't think we've seen a Goatman movie, have we?
We haven't, but there is, I guess, a few. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind watching some movies with Goatman in it.
Okay.
That would be interesting, I think.
Okay. So, there you go. There you have it, then. There you go, Tristin.
I mean, for my final thoughts on this, it's just, I would love to see Goatman used a lot more in film-wise. I would also love to see a giant kangaroo hopping around, going on a killing spree too. I'd just have a ball with that. And then I've seen a lot of anaconda, like snake movies, so I'm kind of iffy on those. But there's a lot of ideas out there. Just keep looking.
Oh yes. Who wouldn't want to see a fucking undead kangaroo or some sort of weird demonic kangaroo going around and kicking people face off? That would be awesome and fun to watch.
Part 2? Alrighty then. We just started with Paul for the first one. Now, why don't we start with Tessa?
Erky Derky.
Now, what was your choice of folklore?
Bigfoot or Sasquatch, because he's so goddamn popular, and everybody just loves to talk about him. But I was gonna talk about the Beast of Rad Road or
Bray Road.
Bray Road, but I'll talk about Bigfoot. In North American folklore, Bigfoot or Sasquatch is said to be hairy, upright, walking, ape-like creature to dwell in the wilderness and leave his footprints everywhere. Depictions often portray them as a missing link between humans and human ancestors or other great apes. Said to be associated in the Pacific Northwest area, particularly in Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. Creature has inspired numerous commercial ventures and hoaxes. And there's even a Bigfoot festival that's supposed to be going on in Whitehall, I think at the end of this month even.
September 28th.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Folklorists trace the figure of Bigfoot to a combination of factors and sources, including folklore surrounding the European wild man figure, believed to be among Native Americans and lodgers. The majority of mainstream scientists have historically discounted the existence of Bigfoot, considering it to be a combination of folklore, misidentification, hoax, rather than a living animal. People who claim to have seen it describe Bigfoot as a large, muscular, ape-like creature, roughly 6 to 9 feet tall, in hair described as black or dark brown color. Enormous footprints for which the creature is named are as large as 24 inches or 60 centimeters long and 8 inches or 20 centimeters wide. That's a big fucking foot. Ridiculously so. According to David Dalig, the legends predate the name of Bigfoot. An ecologist, Robert Pye, says that most cultures have accounts of human-like giants or folk history expressing the need for some larger-than-life creatures. I'll say he's fucking larger than life. Look at frickin'... Okay, prime example of one of my favorite Bigfoot movies, and it's not really a horror movie, is fucking Harry and the Hendersons. Love that fucking movie. Great movie.
Have it on DVD.
Me too.
Love it so much. It's such a good movie. So that's like one of my favorite Bigfoot movies, I would guess to say. So, in the 1920s, Indian agent J. Burns, who compiled local stories and published them into a series of Canadian newspaper articles were accounts told by others in the regional maintained area that Sasquatch was real. So a lot of people dating back to the 1920s believe that the Sasquatch is real and not like a hoax or a myth. Like they actually believe that he exists. And who are we to say that he doesn't exist or they don't exist? So
Now, why did you choose this folklore, Tessa?
because I like Bigfoot. I've always kind of liked Bigfoot, like ever since like I watched like Harry and the Hendersons movie when I was younger. I've always kind of liked Bigfoot. I've always been kind of curious about Bigfoot, just like I've always been curious about like other cryptids. Like I had mentioned earlier, Mothman, Owlman, Nessie, Loch Ness, you know. I've always kind of been fascinated by different cryptids. And Bigfoot's just one of many.
Well, you know what they say about big feet.
Oh, Jesus. Big shoes.
All right, you're up, Paul.
Well, I'm probably going to butcher the name here, but that's all right. Somebody should know who I'm talking about, possibly. Anyway, one of my favorite little guys are the Pukwudgie. if I even pronounced it right. So anybody can tell me if I did not pronounce it right, and tell me
Well,
how
it sounded
to
like you
pronounce
said
it right.
kumquat.
Whoa, I said Pukwudgie, but okay.
Pukwudgie.
Anyway, I like a Pukwudgie because they're anywhere between 4 to 5 foot tall, so that's 120 to 150 centimeters, so very small. And according to the legend, Pukwudgies can appear and disappear at will. They lure people to their death, they use magic, they launch poison arrows, and they can create fire. Also, what's very interesting is that Native Americans believed that Pukwudgies were once friendly to humans, but then turned against them, and are best left alone. According to another lore, a person who annoyed a Pukwudgie would be subject to nasty tricks by it, or subject to being followed by the Pukwudgie, who would cause trouble for them. They are known to also kidnap people, push them off cliffs, attack their victims with short knives and spears, and use sand to blind their victim. So, I like these little guys because we kind of have seen them in video games a little bit, like Diablo. They're kind of in there. They're also, once again, seen in a comic book by the same people we were talking about earlier for Rise of the Goatman, Afterlight Comics. There's a brief little section of the Pukwudgie in their comic book called Folk Tales of the Cryptids. And there's like a 5-page, 6-page little chapter about a Pukwudgie little story. So that's cool. And as for films, I'm going to 100% say I really do not know if they're in a film or not. So if anybody knows if they're in a film, please let me know. Tristin or Tessa, do you guys know? Are they in any type of film or anything?
I haven't.
I haven't came across.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't.
So if they have not, so if there isn't any movies with the Pukwudgie, well, maybe it's time that we see one. So that's mine. No, I always find these things kind of cool. They're like little tricksters in a way until you piss them off.
All right, I guess it's my turn, huh?
Yep, that's right.
So my first choice was the Vermont Manticore from up north, but I couldn't find the website that had all the information about it, so I had to improvise. And out of the same category as the Goatman, I picked Pigman. And the story of the Pigman scatters across the United States, like Georgia, Texas, and also here in Vermont. And the story I have of this Pigman was right here in Vermont, in Northfield, Vermont. It was 1971. An old farmer heard something rustling in the backyard. He turned on the backyard light, and he looked out the window to see a squirrel or like a raccoon. And come to find out, he comes face to face with the Pigman. And he went to go grab his gun, and the Pigman was gone. Didn't see where it went, so it was up left. Well, about a couple days after, a group of students saw this creature outside of a dance hall right there in Northfield. And, the stories have been outrageous ever since 1971, ever since I couldn't find when the last sighting was, but it we know the original, what's the word I'm looking for? We knew when the sighting started, which was 1971 right here in Vermont. But there's nothing been said or anything since then about it. But I can't. There's an indie horror film called The Legend of Pigman Road, and it came out on September 15th, 2012. You can find that on YouTube. That's pretty much the only movie I could find. I haven't been able to find if it's in comic books or anything, but the Pigman's very scarce on its information. But like I said with the Goatman, why I picked this was I've always been interested in human and beast being one, and I just think these stories are fascinating to me. And I wish they do something more with the Goatman, Hollywood-wise, because I'd watch that all day.
Right. Well, to help you out, I guess. Oh boy. Man, there really isn't, huh? Yeah, I guess we need to find out more about this Pigman, I guess. Holy crap. There really doesn't seem to be too much info about it.
With these types of creatures, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about them a lot. So they're not that popular as, like, you know, anacondas, Bigfoot.
Right.
They're very low key. A lot of people don't talk about them, and a lot of people don't like to write about them.
Yeah. Yeah, Pigman had been seen in Georgia, Texas, and Vermont. Oh boy.
Like I said, I wish they do something Hollywood-wise with this because it would be great.
Or somebody do it. Do something.
Yeah.
But geez, I wonder if there's like any books at all about this Pigman or anything. Because, I mean, it looks like there's hardly anything.
No clue.
Well, I guess we need to see more of it, and I think we can all agree on that.
I agree. Now, what is your guys' last inputs on this?
I kind of wish I talked about the other thing that I was going to talk about, but I got confused, I guess.
The
okay.
Beast Railroad.
Yeah. Yeah, I originally really wanted to talk about that one, but I guess I got confused as to what we were doing, and I ended up, I don't know.
It happened.
Yeah. It's been a long day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls.
She doesn't know what work is until now. Wink, wink.
It's not that I didn't know what work was. It was just my last job was just really crappy anyways.
Keep running that mouth, Paul, and you're going to get hit.
Well, then I guess she can have my sniffle, too. I'll just sneeze all over her.
Yeah, that's great. Get me sick. I'll make sure you gotta take care of me.
Well, where's my taken care of? Where's my soup and bread and all that stuff?
I'm making you chicken and rice. I fucking bought you tissues the other fucking day.
Oh my goodness. What a cruel world.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I love picking on her.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a relationship in its prime.
Chicken in prime? What?
A relationship in its prime.
Oh, yes, yes. I thought I heard chicken in its prime. Like, what? Okay, yes. We're not in the relationship stage yet, so we're still good, as far as I know. Anyway, we want to ship it all the way to shipping Mechana.
He just doesn't know what he's saying half the time, boys and ghouls. I apologize. He just says stuff and it just comes out and you get what you get.
That's right. So, whatever. This is me, and I just want to say we need more of Goatman. I'd love to see a Phantom Kangaroo kick some fucking ass. And, well, we've seen too many Bigfoot things. But and as for Pigman, we definitely need to see more of that.
I agree with you, Paul. Anything you have to say, Tessa?
Nope. I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive. I will be better prepared for the next episode. I will have my notes and everything.
Well,
I'm basically working off of like an 8-hour work day here with a migraine, so you'll have to excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize.
well, you actually touched on the next episode that I would like to do. And I hope all you guys enjoyed this episode. And the next episode, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about flying creatures, which Tessa already hit up on.
Yay! Well, I have mine picked out then.
So there you have it, folks. The second episode of and Legends. And I'm your host, Tristin Knott from Everything Horror Podcast Crew. And with me is
Paul Dulski?
And Tessa Baker.
And like we always say from the horror family, stay
Scary.